that could have elevated it just that little extra. Not that this movie needed it, but it just could have went a long way, I thought.
When was the last time you won a race?
Sunday, Daytona.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Formula One.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then same as you.
What is up, Drive-By Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaise.
And today we're checking out, I think, the first Apple original hit film, box office-wise, F1.
I'm offering you an open seat in Formula One. The only place you could say, if you win, you are the absolute best in the world.
F1 is the story of a Formula One driver that comes out of retirement to mentor and team up with a younger driver. So this film was, like you said, Apple's first original hit that's a success. And it also was, I think, one of the first films that actually actively features F1 as the plot of the movie. I know there's a lot of race movies. A lot of people were comparing this film to Ford versus Ferrari, but this is the first film that's actually kind of endorsed by Formula One, and also like they shot with like Formula One tracks. They shot on the tracks and they shot with Formula One during, I think it was after qualifying and after practice races. So this film was actually endorsed as well by Formula One, which is kind of interesting. James, as a Formula One kind of novice, you dipped your toes in here and there, but what'd you think of this film?
Yeah, I'm more curious about your thoughts just because I know you are a fan of Formula One. Anytime I visit you, you always show me some clips of some crazy crashes and some of the crazy races that go down early in the morning, because a lot of them are European races where the time is different from our California time. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I do have some issues with it that we'll get into, but overall though, I was still pleasantly surprised, not knowing a lot about this kind of stuff. I haven't seen Ford versus Ford v Ferrari, or Ferrari, whatever it's called. But I do want to check it out. The only experience I really have with racing movies is just Talladega Nights and Rush, Ron Howard's film with Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruch. But I absolutely loved Rush, I remember. I haven't seen it since I first saw it in theaters a decade ago, I believe. But I actually really genuinely enjoyed that movie and kind of made me take Chris Hemsworth a little bit more seriously. But I thought that movie was fantastic. But this movie definitely captures a little bit more of what it's all about. Maybe not so much from a fan standpoint, but much more so where the drivers are coming from. Rush had a lot more going into it, just rivalry and love interest, versus this movie is just first and foremost they just want in it to win it, basically. It's a story that's been done before. We've seen it so many times. The old guy who's down on his luck and knows everything is the badass, I can do it. And then the young hotshot, and they got to work together. But still done very well. And I was pleasantly surprised watching the whole movie. And I was engulfed in it the whole movie. This is a long movie. Didn't need to be that long. But I never felt I need to check my clock and stuff. I was just enjoying it, and we'll get into my issues, but it's a fun watch. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. The act of watching it, there was some times where my eyes were rolling so far back into my head because the racing logic, it's not that it didn't make sense, it was that it was so ridiculous. Especially one of the, I think it's this first or second race where Brad Pitt's crashing into cars just to advance. He was advancing his car by Brad Pitt's crashing his car into other cars. I feel that was so ridiculous, where if you were to do that, you're definitely gonna get I don't know if there's red cards or anything, but you're probably gonna get you're gonna get enough penalties where you're not close to anyone at all to be able to crash into people.
Honestly, isn't that attempted murder almost too? You're using a vehicle or a dangerous weapon or something.
Vehicular manslaughter and shit. Especially the Formula One is one of the most dangerous sports because the cars are going so crazy fast. But yeah, there was some moments where the racing logic was hilarious, but I still enjoyed like that kind of aspect, because I'm like, oh, it's kind of like B-movie-esque, like so stupid at times where it's like fun, but then there are other elements where it was, you know, to be taken seriously, and it was definitely a very enjoyable ride. I think one of the other things that added to my excitement and enjoyment of the movie was that I saw it in the Screen X format, which I can't say I recommend at all, but I will say, like, watching this movie, it was hype whenever they go into a race, like the screen expanded, and whether like watching those sides of the screen you're not doing, but they're really there for your peripherals, and they were interesting to like see the whole theater is like lit up. Yeah, it's not the best cinematic experience, but it was cool to experience it. And because Apple had given out those, I think it was Apple or it was T-Mobile, they gave out like $5 tickets. I was able to watch that only for like a couple bucks. So that, I mean, that was fine. I was happy to try out a new format without having to pay like $25 or something. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie for the most part.
Yeah, so I mean, I was curious why it was called F1 the movie, and if it was endorsed by it, that makes a lot more sense. I was just like, why not just F1? But yeah, so that part made sense. But I think what holds this movie back is just the aspect of making it more feel like a mainstream movie versus like, I don't see it becoming a sports classic, but there's not a lot of movie that kind of deal with F1 stuff. Or just racing in general. Like, there is enough movies, but like I don't see this one being considered a classic, more so just because it is a product of its time. It's very modern, and you know, like it does kind of have like Rocky IV elements of like modern technology versus just like, I'm gonna do it old school, just wake up, do sit-ups, gonna run on hills, whereas Joshua's character is like, you know, doing this crazy training involving computers and treadmills and stuff. And that happened in Rocky IV, I guess you could say, with like you know, Rocky does the lumberjack stuff in the snow, and then Dolph Lundgren is doing all this crazy computer workouts. But like also the music though just didn't fit the movie. I thought the score, like there were some cool score elements, but I mean, I can't remember it here or now, like talking about it, when I just saw the movie earlier today. And a lot of it is also songs for just to build a soundtrack. Like, you know, Apple can get any song they want. I don't blame them. I know that this is also a very expensive movie. A lot of their money could have went towards that music too, but just like they should have hired a really great composer to make this movie feel more like Moneyball versus just like a hype 'em up like race sports movie. Like that could have been the major difference for this movie. I felt like that could have elevated it just that little extra. Not that this movie needed it, but it just could have went a long way, I thought.
So what if I told you that this was composed by Hans Zimmer?
I never would have guessed that. I was going to say we needed like Junkie XL, who did the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack, to do something like this with just like, you know, like during the heart tender moments, there's like, it's just like basic heart tender music that you could have got on like any kind of free music channel site. And, you know, there are some good amp up music, but for the most part though, that's only like during two sequences. Anytime they're trying to amp up the audience, they would just cut more to just an actual mainstream song that is, I guess, being played on the radio.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because this is Hans Zimmer and this was a soundtrack. I haven't gone back and actually listened to the soundtrack. I think a lot of times when I'm watching a movie, I'm not necessarily thinking about the score. So sometimes if it's not super like in your face, like the Sinners soundtrack or something, I'm thinking of like just modern soundtrack like Sinners or Challengers, where it's like in your face. And I'm not saying that means it's a good score necessarily, because I've gone back and listened to the Sinners soundtrack and actually not enjoyed it as much without the visual elements. But this one, it definitely, the score takes, I felt like a backseat when it should really be the front seat. But I think it's because the visuals they captured for this movie are so in your face that the score is gonna just blend into the background, because they're getting shots that you've never seen before. The cameras that they created for this movie are so small that they fit on board in a Formula 2 car essentially, and they are really epic scenes. So I feel like the score really plays a backseat. I think I need to go back and listen to the score myself to really kind of feel it, you know, without those visuals. But I do agree with you. I don't remember this score at all. This is a couple weeks out from the movie and I don't remember that score at all.
Hans Zimmer just must have phoned it in, which is a bummer, just because, you know, we all know what Hans Zimmer is capable of. He doesn't need to do like crazy soundtrack after crazy soundtrack, but just like, if you're gonna get him, why are we even putting in these third-party songs into the movie almost? Just how I feel on that aspect. But you know, like I said, though, narrative wise, though, there's really just nothing original about this movie, honestly, other than the fact that it just takes us into a sport that, you know, there's less movies about and does crazy cinematography and crazy real stunts that we've never seen before. And that definitely makes the movie worth watching. But also, just everyone in this movie is still likable. There isn't necessarily a villain in this movie. There's just characters that are just like kind of scummy. You know, even the back and forth between Brad Pitt and Damon Idris's character, just like, you know, I really enjoyed those aspects. You know, it's never too just like mean-spirited or just doesn't like overstay its welcome. It has the right beats and just like is that proper just like hero's journey style movie that just like you love to watch and is a great movie to just digest and still like enjoy very much so.
So yeah, I do think this film has a lot of broad strokes. It doesn't go crazy into like the concepts, and I think they did that to just play to a really wide audience. I think they take all the best parts about Top Gun, where it's just kind of a very basic movie but done very well, and I think they nailed it because there's fun elements in there for Formula One fans because they have like all these cameos of drivers from literally last year. I mean, most of them are still on the grid, but there was a big shakeup at the beginning of the year. So a lot of the drivers you'd know if you watch Formula One, but then they have enough in there for people that might never even seen a Formula One race or not know what Formula One is. So yeah, I thought that this movie played really well and it was a fun time at the movies and definitely, I would say, one of the most surprising blockbusters this year.
Yeah, and honestly, I always forget how much I love sports movies. Like, sports movies for me are like my feel-good movies. It's not a genre I really seek out. You know, I always seek horror and comedy for the most part, but just like sports movies, though, always just get me hyped. And this is going to be a movie that's up there for me. You know, not at the highest level, but it's still a very solid movie. And I can see just most audiences just falling in love with this movie very quickly. There's very little to dislike other than just like, you know, some of the like more like snob film lover aspects that I'm into. And then also just like maybe some people might not be into the runtime or anything, but still, even if you're not a fan of sports or just Formula One racing at all, I can still see a lot of people liking it. But you know, let us know what you thought on the movie. You can check it out through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below. You can also check it out in theaters too. And yeah, eventually, I guess Apple TV because it's an Apple original. But yeah, great way to help support us. Just tell us what you thought about it in the comments.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our social media links down below. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, also our own personal letterbox accounts. So that's it for this week, folks. Tune in next week for a brand new video.